Halloween Horror Nights 2025 is here, and I've got some thoughts about the best houses. We've got 10 houses, and today I want to rank them going down the list, starting at number 10, going all the way up to what I think is the best house at HHN 34. Without further ado, let's start with the ranking. I think the worst house, number 10 at HHN 34, is Dolls Let's Play Dead. The house itself isn't bad. I would absolutely say that none of the houses at HHN were bad. It's definitely a step up from any previous haunted house experience that I've had. But the one thing that I absolutely despised and really soured my experience with this house was the smell. Now, I don't know if that is a thing that you always experience, but in our experience, when my wife and I went, the smell was pretty bad. I think it was intentional because it smelt like, plastic dolls. It smelt pretty terrible. Honestly, the worst part, it wasn't even really that scary. It was the smell that was the worst part to me. So I didn't really like it pretty much because of that. Now, on the flip side, my wife actually thought that it was rather terrifying when we went through it. She was very scared. I wasn't scared at all. So we actually, at the time, ranked them completely opposite. She was like, this is the scariest one we've done yet. And I was like, this is the worst one that we've done yet. But for me, in my rankings, I'm saying it is number 10 on the list. I should also, really quick sidebar, I never actually get scared at these haunted houses. I don't ever get scared. I just think that they're fun. I laugh most of the time, honestly. So take that, as you will. Number 9 on my list is going to be Hatchet and Chains. Demon Bounty Hunters. I think that the theming was pretty cool for this, kind of like the backwoods, and it was almost like westerny. It was kind of neat, it was kind of neat. Nothing overly terrifying, it was just kind of fine. There was nothing spectacular about it. So the theming was just kind of general. And when you had some of these other houses with really familiar IPs, it just kind of laid flat for me. It was cool. It was a good time. It wasn't bad. There were no crazy smells. It was just kind of fine. So nothing bad, just fine. Next on the list, number 8 out of 10, I'm going to say is El Artista, a Spanish haunting. This one was interesting because I didn't realize that they actually made some of these houses inside of the studio buildings. That was a big surprise to me. I had no idea that they did that. And this was the first one that we went into that was like that. So the actual theming of this was really well done. And it was honestly one of the better presentations, I would say, because you were kind of walking in and you saw what you're walking into as you walked in, rather than some of the other places like Fallout, for example, was in that big, I don't even know how you would describe, big white building out in the middle of the back of the park. So the actual theming for El Artista was fantastic. Unfortunately, I can't really remember much of the actual haunted house in terms of the fear factor. I just remember that it was very well themed. And if I remember correctly, I believe that my wife said that is her favorite house, actually. So there you go. Take that as you will. But again, it's not a bad house by any means. It was actually a pretty good house. Just overall, for the fear factor, kind of unremarkable, but the theming was really good. Next on my list, we're coming in at number 7 out of 10 here. This might shock some of you guys. Jason Universe. Now, I don't rank this at number 7 because it was bad by any means. No, it was a very good, and if you like Jason, if you're a fan of the Jason movies, you're probably going to like this house. It was very well done. The theming was immaculate. The way that they did the scares, the production, everything for that house was very good. Just for me, there are better houses at HHN. For me, I'm not a massive Jason fan. I've watched Freddy versus Jason, but I've not watched any of the other Jason movies. I'm not much of a slasher kind of movie person. So the IP is fine. I don't really care. So the house itself was good. It was a good time. I enjoyed it. But it wasn't anything spectacular for me. So for me, that's why I rank it at number 7. It was also kind of funny. It was in the Fast and Furious area. So, maybe that had a slight reason why it dipped the score potentially. You know what I mean? We had to sit through the whole queue for Fast and Furious in order to go through there. Fantastic. All right, jumping in at number 6 out of 10 here. I'm going to rank Grave of Flesh at number 6 here. And, you know, I feel like that might be a little bit surprising because as far as an IP is concerned, it's completely unremarkable. It's just, in my opinion, it's just a basic run-of-the-mill theme for a haunted house. Like, it's nothing overly spectacular, but it was just really well done. I really liked the way that they designed the theming for the Grave of Flesh. You were kind of like underground, so you were, I guess, in the graves, basically. You know, you were kind of in the upside down as Stranger Things, if that kind of makes sense. But it was just really well done. I really liked the way that it was, you know, presented. The production was fantastic. Again, it was kind of perfectly fine. It's kind of the middle of the road sort of one, but I liked it a little bit more than Jason Universe. It was, you know, decently scary. I liked the way that they presented the various scares and stuff. It was a good time. It was nothing crazy, but it was a good time, and I did like it more than the ones listed below it here on the list. Now, jumping into the next one here, number 5 out of 10 is going to be the WWE Wyatt 6. This one surprised me quite a bit. I'll preface this by saying I'm a WWE fan. I don't watch the show every week. I watch the highlights for the most part, if that makes sense. I pay attention to them on Facebook and Twitter, and I usually I pay attention to you know, my favorite wrestlers, and I'm trying to see who's going to be on this week and stuff, and I'll see how those things go. I don't actually watch the whole show every single time. That's a little crazy, but I do watch most of the PLEs. So I am a WWE fan, and I have been for a long time. With that being said, I actually don't really know that much about the Wyatt 6. I know about Bray Wyatt and how unfortunately he passed away, and how a lot of this stuff was his creation, which is a really awesome thing that they kind of took that and sort of as an homage to him, paid tribute to the wild ideas that he had in this house, which is absolutely fantastic in my opinion. I think that's a really, really wonderful thing that they did. With that being said, the actual house itself was done very, very well. It was actually pretty creepy, which is what I would expect. I know a little bit about Bray Wyatt's character. I don't know much about the Wyatt 6, though. That's more of a new thing that I haven't really paid much attention to. So a lot of that was new experience to me, and it was a good time. It was relatively creepy. I was also surprised by a lot of the implementation of the WWE style of things. I don't know why I wasn't expecting that, but it was like you were going into the backstage of the WWE, like you were going to go, you know, like you're going to have an entrance going out to the ring. It was really, really interesting. It was well done. I liked the use of the IP. They did a great job with this house. And I feel like going into it, a lot of people weren't really sure what to expect. I wasn't sure what to expect. I kind of saw it as like a cheesy cash grab, to be frank with you. But no, they did a great job. That was a very, very good house. I enjoyed it a lot. All right, moving into number 4 out of 10 now. This might get some people. I'm going to say Terrifier was number 4. And I feel like a lot of people are going to put Terrifier at number 1, and that is totally fine. If that's you, totally makes sense. For me, I got to put it at number 4, and I'll explain why. Let me preface it by saying that the house itself was absolutely fantastic. And if I was to just say from a haunted house perspective, Terrifier was probably the best one there. From just a strictly haunted house point of view, probably the best house at HHN. With that being said, though, I'm ranking these in their totality, their whole experience, which includes everything from the IP, the aura, the experience, all of it. So for me, it's number 4. With that being said, I've never actually watched the Terrifier movies. I'm not much of a clowns guy. I don't really like clowns that much. And you know, this haunted house is exactly why. So I don't really have any sort of connection to the IP whatsoever. The house itself, though, was really interesting. At the end, you had like 2 options. You could go through a wet part of the house, and you can go through a dry part of the house. It was kind of at the exit. We chose to go on the wet side because naturally you have to do the most exuberant part of the house, and it was cool. It was definitely shocking. We got blasted with, I don't even know what it was, some kind of liquid. I think it was water, but hopefully it was just water. I don't know. But the actual house was very, very well designed, and it was, in my opinion, easily the longest house too. So if you're just strictly looking for an amazing haunted house experience, Terrifier is definitely the best one. It was the scariest. It was the longest. It was the most unique, I think, in terms of their presentation. And I thought it was kind of funny too. Some of the things were quite hilarious. The way that the Terrifier clown is. Maybe I should watch the Terrifier movies. I don't know. I'm not like huge on horror, which is kind of funny because I don't really think any of this stuff is that scary. But movies, for whatever reason, kind of get me sometimes. Anyways, Terrifier, fantastic house. Most people will probably have it at number 1, but for me and my likings, I have it at number 4. So moving on to number 3. This might surprise some people, and it surprised me. This is a major sleeper for me. At number 3, I've got Gulkin, which is Gulkin Monsters of the North. That's the full name. Gulkin was very surprising to me. Number 1, I'll put it this way. I didn't actually realize how HHN worked. I thought that there was only 4 houses when we were going. I thought that it was literally Jason, Terrifier, or no, wait, what did I think it was? I thought it was like, maybe I thought it was 5. Jason, Terrifier, Fallout, WWE, and Five Nights at Freddy's. I thought that's all it was. I didn't know that there were 10 houses until we were like going. I had no clue. So I didn't know that Gulkin was a house until we were standing in line for Fallout and Gulkin was right next to it. I had no idea. So Gulkin for me was a huge surprise. It was the second house that we did. We did Fallout first and then we did Gulkin second. And I'm a huge fan of like Norse mythology. I've read I wish I could tell you the name of it, but the Norse mythology books around Loki, super, super interesting stuff. So I really like Norse mythology. And that's kind of what this is about-ish, kind of. Not super explicitly, but kind of. And it was really, really interesting. It was a super, super well done house. They have like this part of the house where there's like this flaming tree and like the ground is like molten and everything. The production for this house was absolutely fantastic. It was a huge surprise to me. I really, really liked it. And I'm sure part of my reason why I have it ranked so high is because of my, I am sort of biased. Like I said, I do really like the Norse stuff. So that's part of it. And then also too, it was the second house that we did. So I was feeling very fresh, But Gulkin, if you were thinking of it as sort of something you weren't too particularly interested in, maybe change that perspective because it was a big surprise to me, a big sleeper hit. I really, really loved Gulkin, number 3 on my list. Okay, now we got to the top 2. And of course, it's the 2 big IPs that are going to come in there. I'm going to put number 2 as Five Nights at Freddy's. Let me just start this out right away by saying, is the Five Nights at Freddy's haunted house scary? Absolutely not. Not at all. It wasn't scary in the slightest. I don't think I even flinched in the entire house. And that's okay, because the house itself was fantastic. It was quite literally like you were stepping foot inside Freddy Fazbear's Pizza straight out of the movie. I mean, absolutely. Like the beginning of the house is you literally walking through the front doors of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and you're going through the dining room where you've got Freddy and Chica there on the stage. It is straight out of the movie. It is so well done. And honestly, there was a slight creep factor, I will say, because the animatronics looked exactly like they did in the movie. They look exactly like they do in the games. I mean, they looked amazing. And if I remember correctly, I'm pretty positive that for the movie that they shot, they created actual animatronics. And I remember seeing something where people were getting, like on set, were a little freaked out because the animatronics, people were like freaking out like, oh my God, are the animatronics moving? I remember seeing some like talk and discussion about that when they were making the first Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Now, obviously, we've got the second movie that's coming out here pretty soon. And I love the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. I'm not huge on the games, surprisingly. My brother played Five Nights at Freddy's a ton when he was younger, and I would watch him. So I didn't personally play the games, but I've watched a lot of the videos about the lore. I've watched a lot of Matt Pat stuff about it. So I'm a huge fan of the Five Nights at Freddy's IP. I'm a huge fan of the movie. I think the movie is amazing from Blumhouse. And I think that they did an absolutely remarkable job of putting together the haunted house for Five Nights at Freddy's. That was absolutely a fantastic house. It easily had the longest wait time of any house the entire night that we were there. And we went on opening night, like I said, and we were there the entire night from start to finish. as soon as they opened to when they closed it at like 2 o'clock in the morning. So it was like always at 180 minutes. It was a fantastic house. Was it scary? No, not at all. But it was an amazing house, and I absolutely loved every second of it. So that, of course, leaves number 1 out of 10, the best house, in my opinion, for HHN 34, Fallout. I absolutely loved the Fallout house. It was the first house that we did, so maybe there's a little biasy to that because it was the very first one that we did, but I loved it. I thought that they did an amazing job of taking the Fallout IP. I've played some Fallout 4, I've played some Fallout 76, and I've watched my brother play a lot of Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3. So I've got a good breadth of experience with the Fallout franchise, and I absolutely love the Amazon Prime series Fallout. They did an amazing job with that, and I'm super excited for Fallout Season 2 coming out, I think, here in December, if I'm not mistaken. So they did it. My watch. Siri, I'm not talking to you. I think they did an absolutely amazing job of taking the Fallout IP and putting it into the haunted house. There was a part where you're walking, and I can't remember the name of the town, but there's that town in the Fallout show, and it's from, I want to say, from Fallout 3, maybe something like that. I honestly don't know exactly, but anyways, there's like this famous town that you walk into, and they built it all up in the haunted house, and it looks absolutely fantastic. The scrap metal's everywhere. The trash is put together in such a unique way, and they've got Lucy and a bunch of the different scenes from the Fallout show, from season 1 of the show. They've built out some of the scenes, and just the way that the actors, the team members, portray everything in the Fallout haunted house is absolutely fantastic. They've got the ghoul in there too, looks amazing. You've got what's the name of the bot? Is it Cobb's bot or something? I can't remember the name of the bot, but the robot guy is in there, and he looks absolutely awesome. I mean, the way that they put that together was just so good. And again, it was probably just because of my first house of the night, but I just absolutely loved it. I couldn't stop smiling the whole time. It was definitely creepy. It wasn't mega scary. It was way more scary than Five Nights at Freddy's. That's not even a question. It was way more scary than that. Was it the scariest one there? No, it wasn't. Terrifier, I think, was definitely the most scary house, but the creep levels were still there, and the way that they presented the IP was just absolutely fantastic. If you're a fan of the Fallout IP, if you're a fan of the games, if you're a fan of the show, you're going to love this house. It is so well done. It was absolutely fantastic. So that is my ranking, 1 to 10, of all 10 HHN houses this year at Halloween Horror Nights 2025. I do want to also say there is a potential that my rankings here and my perspectives of each house may be, swayed in a particular way because we had express passes for this. And so that meant that we were kind of just flying through stuff, just one after another, just flying through. Now, we were there the entire time, I think from, 6 p.m., I think, to 2 a.m. We did, we ate some of the food. We watched Nightmare Fuel twice, and we did all 10 of the houses. And even finishing all 10 of the houses with express passes, we finished Five Nights at Freddy's at 2 o'clock in the morning. Like, we finished it as they were closing. So we crammed everything in. But even then, we were just kind of going one after another. And there was a point in time kind of in the middle there where they were just kind of like the same thing over and over again. So, not every house hit the same way. But a lot of those lower end to mid-tier houses are the ones that we were doing sort of in the middle part of that time frame when we weren't feeling so great about them. We were just kind of like going through the motions. So maybe that plays a part in it. This might be, you might get the better results of these houses potentially if you go multiple days rather than trying to hit every single house in one night, potentially. But I'm not sure. That's just my perspective on it. We did it one night, so that's what we did. With that being said, though, that is my rankings of all 10 HHN houses this year in 2025. Let me know your thoughts. Have you been to HHN 34? What are your thoughts on the houses? Do you think my list is crazy, or do you like it? Let me know. How would you rank the houses? Please let me know. I want to see your guys' thoughts as well. But hey, overall, though, we absolutely loved, like my wife and I, we were super thrilled with the experience of Halloween Horror Nights. I will say, though, our favorite thing was Nightmare Fuel. That show, if you guys have never seen it, wow. I mean, that show is absolutely incredible. And when they say that the show can be a little sexy. They're not kidding. The show was a lot sexy. But yeah, so anyways, if you guys have the opportunity to go to Halloween Horror Nights this year, please do. It was an absolutely remarkable time. I would recommend the express passes, though. I definitely would, because some of those wait times for those houses were kind of insane. 180 minutes for Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't know if I would have ranked it the same way if I had to wait 180 minutes. I think we waited 20 minutes. Maybe 15. I don't know. It was not long at all to wait for Five Nights at Freddy's. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Let me know you guys' thoughts down below. I appreciate it. And hey, feel free to like this video if you enjoyed and subscribe for more of content just like this. All right. I'll see you in the next one.